Hi, folks. My name is Daniel Myers, Developer Relations here at Snowflake. On today's episode of Powered By, I'm talking with Raphael Steinman, CEO and founder of maxa.ai, an AI software platform that runs alongside ERP and point of sale systems that helps to monitor, forecast, and optimize businesses. Raphael, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. To kick this off, I want to learn more about you, your background, maxa.ai, and just, tell me a little bit about the history there.
Well, so I guess Maxa is my third company. So I started back in the dot-coms and I was 20-year-old, very young, started my first company then, sort of sold that one, flowed to another one, which I had for 15 years. And I guess that's where the maxa.ai seed was planted. So in my previous life, I was getting these recurring questions about VPs or savvy VPs or executives that were saying, the data that my company was producing was great, but actually they were getting their financial insights from their ERP systems. And they were sort of complaining that these insights coming there from their financial systems were like boomerang reports, meaning you get them, but they're always 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks late. So you're making key decisions, but on data that is actually a little past. And our systems back then were very operational, real time. So they were the savvy executives were saying, well, can we bypass these ERPs and go straight to the source and sort of get our insights from you, from your systems? And of course, back then, I mean, the technology answer, the engineering answer, great, let's do some AI and let's solve this challenge, or let's do machine learning. But the technology just wasn't there. So it's sort of been this lagging customer ask that I've had for the last 10 years. And I guess it all came together around 2016, 2017, where you start seeing the AI becoming more, I guess, an engineering product, not just research done in a lab, but actually engineering components that you can build software and build a solution. But the key ingredients also is the cloud in terms of storage, compute capacity, but also moving huge and sharing a lot of data became actually economically feasible, like at a technology standpoint, which means that at that time, I think it was the right move. So of course, I ended up selling my shares in my previous business and to sort of double down on answering this great challenge that my executives have been complaining about for decades.
Awesome. So, I'd love to see a demo.
Okay, sure. So maybe just to like set up the demo, I can give you just so what does Maxa do in like 2 sentences? So essentially, we provide machine intelligence for ERP systems. So we're sort of very narrow focused. We just do ERP systems. And what we like to say is we make businesses smarter about their clients and products. That's it. So we tie into ERP systems and then we extract all the value we can from a customer or from products. And the key thing is that these are not boomerang reports. This is an entire customer data set, entire customer business activities crunched all the time. So it's really great. So I'll give you a quick demo just to give you a sense of what the capacity of our platform does. So maybe just as an intro, of course, our solution runs on Snowflakes, and by default, Snowflake data is massive data set. So we're not talking 1, 2, 3 clients. We're usually talking tens of thousands of clients, tens of thousands of products. And how do you surface all that? So the console that you're seeing is sort of like what we call the tip of the iceberg. So it's like all that great crunching has to come back into a business console, something very easy to consume. And these are what we're looking at is actually Snowflake tables that are just read off of. And that's where sort of all the data resides. Okay, so let's just give some context. So we have a customer of ours who, of course, is a big manufacturing company, and they have many factories or sites. And of course, they have not one, but many ERPs, and they also are dealing with one or many POS systems, either acquired through acquisitions or simply partners that they've integrated. So this is what we feel a lot of the daily life or the daily setup of a lot of businesses out there. So for instance, just simply being able to browse out through all your insights. So I can have my holistic view. So I mean, we know Snowflake and the data cloud is there to unify, bring together data, allow it to share. You can see this is like we're using that magic behind the scenes. So for instance, being able to see, I like to see all my customers, all my products consolidated through all my ERPs. So I can have SAP NetSuite. This is the view. So I'm seeing all my ERP data, all the projects, all the regions, just blended nicely together. I'm oblivious now of, it's like a system of systems. It's one system, one view, my entire business assets. I also can view all my customers in the same way. So I can flip on the customer angle. I want to see all my customers from all systems, or I can start zooming into specific regions if I need to. I mean, this is all configurable based on how the data sets, but you can see ERP systems have this meta, what we say, this meta data set or data structure. So we tap into that and we're able to surface, no matter what types of ERP systems you have, we're able to surface it in a common form. And then if you want to, no, I'm the general manager of a factory in Canada, let's say, and I'm the one running NetSuite. So maybe we actually want to zoom in more on through this angle, just zooming into a specific ERP or specific systems. And of course, we name two, we support N. I mean, is Snowflake limited in the amount of data we can load? No. Okay, well, we are not limited either. And this is exactly the same logic to POS system. So the ERP system is more of the back office powering most businesses. Well, the POS system is like, that's the cash register. So getting a sort of two types of signals. You got your back office signals of what you're producing and sort of what is the business seeing its relationship with clients. Then maybe you have the POS signals, which are more, I guess, customer facing. This is what the reality of the clients. This is where you see returns coming in. This is when you see actual transactions based on time, based on like the units, the unit view. So we also have that view, and it all comes together into one console. Like you said a little bit in the intro, we do two things. We monitor, we forecast, and we use those two things to optimize. So if you have to bring it down to the simplest form, Maxa will monitor and forecast an entire business all the time, fully automated with any amount of ERP systems or POS systems you want. And what's interesting is that it brings a new view of the world, whereas you do not have to go back to those boomerang reports. Is all the data synced on Sunday night, Monday morning, execs meet, they have a clear, crisp view of exactly what's happening in their business. So what is that clear, crisp view? The clear, crisp view is, first of all, monitoring. So like answering the question, what's happening in my business that I should know, but that I don't know? Or where should I focus my energy? What's key? What should I be focusing on? So there's really two types of graphics here. So let me just maybe walk you through 2 seconds. So like, of course, you can see here, I'm monitoring my products. So from all my ERPs, all my products, all my regions, and I'm actually looking at the revenue. And so the system simply just lists all the products that it's viewing for this company. And then what it's doing behind the scenes is that it's looking at the trends, it's looking at what is happening, and it's assigning an anomaly score. And the anomaly score is actually taking into consideration the actual revenue. So for instance, a large client with a small dip may be worth a lot more than a smaller client with a huge dip. So you want the sales teams or the business teams to be fully aware of this. And so the system will automatically rank it. And of course, during the setup, this ranking is a very custom tuned ranking. So some businesses, for instance, they can say, well, our teams could only ingest maybe 100 anomalies to manage a week. So we will custom tune the anomalies so that it always gives you the topmost 100. So you don't end up having this list of 10,000, which you sort of start the week by saying it's impossible for me. So we really tune it so that it's really relevant for each business. And some companies want it extremely, I guess, I won't say noisy, but they want to have like maximum amount of resolution. And some of them are like, no, I just care about emergencies. So like tune down the noisiness. And this is the game. Like the real game of monitoring business data is not about creating alerts. Creating alerts is easy. The challenge is that it's actually noise you're creating. You can easily create, most of the time it's false positives. And that's where the magic happens, where can I actually, out of all the noise I could produce, pinpointing the ones that have business value. And this is where Maxa comes in. This is our capacity of zeroing in on what has business value. That's what we feel is world-class. So for instance, I'll zoom in into two. So this, for instance, this anomaly score, I got two products that are been highlighted by Maxa. So for instance, this is what we call outperformance. So this is like a customer who was baseline was having a specific behavior. So we see that in the gray sort of dots. And then you see suddenly he shoots up. And shooting up, you can see the dots changing color. So like yellow is a sense of like you're going, you're outperforming, or you're off trend, but by a little bit. And then a red dot is clearly like a super performance or something that. So for instance, in this case, it could be positive because it's, of course, it's a quantity asked, but this is a beautiful signal that should go back to operations saying this customer was delivered maybe on a monthly basis. With the volumes he's giving us, he should be probably maybe on a daily, maybe weekly basis. And this is where essentially you can better serve your clients, but also make sure your operations are following what your clients are asking for, and you're actually delivering on the promise of great value.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
And then another example is what we call slow changes. So for instance, like the previous example I showed you was like an outperformance, or you can even like we call clients that drop off a cliff. So you can see this history of this client where he was always running around maybe 15,000 units a week. And then you can see sort of fluctuating a bit. And then at one point in March, and you can see this is probably COVID. Yes, it is. Our system picked up that this customer was falling off the cliff, and this was COVID. Now, the real question in a COVID scenario was not what businesses are going bad. Most businesses suffered, but the real question you're asking is, who do I double down on? Because across my 10,000 customers, I will have that maybe have COVID, maybe could have been a beneficial, or they're still there. I should be servicing them and sort of less trying to run around and try to find who it is. So the system will pick up, these are all your clients. So on March 22nd, the system said this customer now is nosediving. And then across the entire customer portfolio, you could actually just by sorting, pick up the ones that are not nosediving and start focusing on that. So now go back to my boomerang reports where these execs would have got this in their financial package a couple of weeks later on. Oh yeah, we lost all these clients. Imagine getting the signal from day one where you can say, okay, we can be proactive. And clearly, probably the execs talked with this client, made sure maybe you're giving them different pricing structures, maybe you're allowing them more payments, facilitate payment schedules, things like that. Clearly, we see that this customer has come back. So for instance, if you are being very proactive with certain clients, you do not have to measure or track or see if it's happening. The system will tell you, we've altered the curve. COVID, after the couple of months in May, he's actually picking up and coming back. And then you can see now, but his trend has not come back to before. His trend now, the system knows or will alert you, telling you, well, he came back, but he's now so slowly decreasing. So you can see through the lifetime of a client. So we talked about one client. Now you have 10,000, 15,000 clients, many plants, many regions, people that are reporting to different people. Can a CEO or maybe some executives get a full-blown view of the entire business? But can you provide the insight, the regional insight? I want this client, but I just want his, let's say, Eastern transactions, or I just want to see how he's performing on the West Coast, or questions like that. It's all there. So to go back to Maxa is powered by the cloud, and Maxa sort of was born in the cloud. We needed that data capacity. We needed the capacity to bring in all ERP data with the entire history, be able to crunch that, and then produce these assets that are like clockwork. Every week, the analysis comes out, and it's the analysis of everything. So that Monday morning, you're not debating if, you're debating just on what do we do? What actions do we do? What's top of mind? What should be top of mind? Or we can even think, okay, these are all the customers that are suffering. Let's make a plan of action, and we will know in a week or two if the trend has changed. It becomes very easy to self-check. It's like your A/B testing. You have this huge system that can monitor and tell you how things are going and who's falling off the cliff in this case, and who's performing or outperforming.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So as you're building this, what was some of the decision process, as to, why are you building this on Snowflake? What was your decision process on choosing Snowflake?
So, I mean, we go back in time. So let's say you go back as 2017. It sounds actually nearby, but I think in tech time feels like a long time ago. So I mean, I started from the get-go. I mean, I spent 15 years my previous business literally tying into ERPs and moving big data sets. But like this was we call the old on-premise world, where moving 10 gigs was like you had a sysadmin or a DBA that was not very happy of what you were doing, and he was complaining about that. You had to manage many skill sets. So again, from DBA, sysadmins, probably networks and guys, security guys involved. So I knew from the get-go that we had to be able to support massive amount of data, but I'll even put the angle of very low admin. And with, like, you can see Maxa has a huge in its DNA. We're all about automation. I mean, our employees, our team is extraordinary, but their mandate is to program the obsolescence of their work. It should be your platform that's doing all the heavy lifting. So from the get-go, we knew the technology choice we had to make was we need to store data, we need to move data, and we need to have it readily accessible, but it has to be low admin. We can't have sysadmin, people have to spin up servers, increase capacity. So I mean, in 2017, Snowflake was already probably the only leader, or was the leader in there. So that was the entry demand that we had to be able to do this. And the existence of Snowflake probably is also allowed Maxa to actually start doing its R&D to build its technology, because that was the foundation that was required to even be able to do anything. And then on top of that, it's about, well, okay, I'm going to do heavy automation. So I need to have a unified view of all my data, whether it's structured, unstructured. I mean, we know ERP data sets, they're a little different. I mean, they operate, the fundamentals are the same, but they all have different data sets, different schemas. Can we bring that all together and have our technology that's able to access it in a unified way? So, I mean, that's sort of the checklist, or the ask that we had of technology, and Snowflake answered it perfectly. So that was our choice.
Awesome. And so you covered the structured and semi-structured kind of data aspect of the solution. What was a challenging aspect of some of the pain points that you've had to overcome, especially with the mandate that you say of automating the mundane aspects, right, of the role. Kind of dive into that a little bit on what are some of those challenges that you've had to overcome.
So I mean, there's just the data structure challenge. So for instance, the key things, if you think of like business data, I mean, pulling in historicals with massive amount of data, like you're actually telling a company, I'm going to take all your data and bring it up in the cloud. So like, I think that war was already won when the bigger companies convinced people that they can move their banking on the cloud and everything. But it's more at the technology side, like how do you move the data up into Snowflake or up into the cloud? So that challenge actually was greatly facilitated by the infrastructure that Snowflake had. And then once you had, like I said earlier, we have SQL access. The real game was, can we create layers? So what we call the Maxa system layer. So being able to take many different data sets, so many SQL servers, many ERP systems, many POS systems, bring them all together. So have an intelligence layer, like, I mean, I can go on and on, like SKUs, but then there's SKU churn, and then you have to map SKUs with other SKUs. And oh yeah, the POS SKU system does not map the ERP system, but they're actually on the same transaction. And like, you have this sort of, it's a mix of business expertise, FP&A, financial planning analysis, just good old business know-how. How do I make an ERP connect with things? So there's different layers that have to be sort of put one on top of the other to finally be able to have, okay, now I'm going to push these workloads into ML models to predict the future. So you can see like there's a lot of historical data, but if you think of once that data is there, just even prepared, so I mean, that's the first challenge, was like really getting the data, making it prepared, or preparing the data in an automated fashion. Once you have that, you have to crunch it. So there's a, how do I train all the various models, all the various systems, so that I can produce 10,000 forecasts that are unique every time, accurate, and I'm beating existing FP&A teams. I'm beating what today the analysts are doing on one customer. I have to beat that, except I have to beat it every time on 10,000. Like, that was the mandate. So you can see, like, it's like 3 layers of heavy lifting to really get into it. And I can give you like an example, for instance, like this is probably for anybody who does FP&A, like this forecast is a 12-month ahead forecast for a customer. You have 10,000 of these, and every one of them has his own unique custom forecast. So you can see, like, it's taking consideration. There's no seasonality. There's up and down trends, and producing this, the amount of CPU power, but the data sets behind it to support this are massive. So like, if we think of it in terms of skill sets, like you got data engineers, software engineers, you got data architects, data, and like you have the whole stack of competency that we have to blend in a full technology stack, which is cramming it down. It's that's I guess the biggest challenge we had in automating it again. So I'll go back to the Snowflake's low and min, highly scalable. We had to build out that same sort of vision, but on the ERP machine intelligence side.
So that's awesome. So Raphael, so to recap, it really seems like Maxa is a AI platform for ERP systems and point of sale systems. What makes Maxa different and unique?
So I guess what makes us unique is, like, of course, we were born in the cloud. So we live and breathe on top of the Snowflake cloud, for lack of better words. And really, it's about using the cloud to bring, I guess, legacy or ERP system, POS systems, bring them in so that we have one holistic view. So it's like a system of systems that allow, and then deploy machine intelligence over that so that you can produce custom forecasts, unique forecasts for every one of your customers, every one of your products, every one of your metrics at scale, available automatically all the time. I mean, if you had to boil it down, that's what we do. So we just focus on client products and sort of extracting the maximum richness of signals out of ERPs and POS systems.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So for the viewers out there today, if they want to learn more about you and Maxa, where should they go?
So, I mean, the easiest part is always maxa.ai. I mean, hit us up there on our website. We are and going to be more and more active also on LinkedIn. So, I mean, Raphael Steinman on LinkedIn, Maxa. I think there's only one, or there should be only one. So definitely you can hit me up. But more importantly, I think it's about looking at your ERP data, talking to your execs, and starting with the need. Like, what intelligence, like talking about those boomerang reports, what intelligence do you need? What would you like? And then just sort of sharing those insights and connecting up with us. We can definitely help you out.
Awesome. Awesome. And for everybody out there, again, my name is Daniel Meyer, Developer Relations here at Snowflake. And if you want to learn how you can build an application powered by Snowflake, check out developers.snowflake.com. Thanks.